Hey there. If you're a parent, you are probably an expert at spotting those big milestones, right? That first wobbly step, that first word, that first tower of blocks that actually stays up. But what if all those incredible moments are actually part of a much, much bigger picture? I mean, when you look at your preschooler just playing, what's really going on in that little head of theirs? Is it just fun and games? Or is something way deeper happening? Well, you better believe it is. Because every single achievement you celebrate, every block they stack, every ball they kick, it's all one piece of this giant interconnected puzzle of their development. See, nothing happens by itself. Every single skill they learn helps build the next one. Now, experts have a name for this map. They call them developmental domains. I know, it sounds a little academic, a little stuffy, right? But really, it's just a super helpful way to see the whole child, to understand how all those different pieces of their growth actually fit together. So let's start with the one we all see every single day. Physical development. This is all about movement. And honestly, it's the easiest one for us to spot and cheer for because you can literally see the progress happening right in front of your eyes. And these physical skills really break down into two key areas. First, you've got your gross motor skills. These are the big whole body movements, like running and jumping and climbing. And then you have fine motor skills, those smaller, more delicate movements in their hands and fingers, which are so crucial for things like writing later on. So what does this actually look like in the real world, at the park or in your living room? Well, gross motor skills are firing when they're scrambling up the playground equipment or jumping with both feet off the ground. And those fine motor skills, they're clicking into place when they stack a super tall tower of blocks. Or, and this is a big one, when they finally hold a crayon with their fingers instead of that tight little fist. These are those little daily victories. So how do we help all this movement along? It's actually way simpler than you might think. For those big muscles, honestly, nothing beats just good old-fashioned, unstructured outdoor play. Just let them run and climb and explore. And for the little muscles in their hands, it's all about hands-on activities like Play-Doh, puzzles, and just making art. Okay, next up is the cognitive domain. You can think of this as the thinking brain. This is where we see these massive leaps in how your child learns, how they remember things, and how they start to solve problems for themselves. Between the ages of 3 and 5, their thinking just explodes. They start to really get cause and effect. Like, oh, if I push this button, a sound happens. They begin to do simple problem solving, like figuring out which way to turn a puzzle piece so it fits. But maybe the biggest, coolest leap is symbolic thinking. This is that magical stage where a banana can become a telephone, or a cardboard box can become a race car. It's the absolute foundation of all creativity. And our job here? It's pretty simple. Just fuel that natural curiosity they already have. Become their I wonder partner. Ask things like, I wonder what would happen if we mixed these two colors? And then just step back and give them simple, open-ended toys like blocks or art supplies. Trust me, their imagination will take it from there. All right, next up is a domain that is just absolutely critical, not just for being ready for school, but for life. It's social-emotional development. You can think of this as the feeling heart. It's all about them learning to understand their own big, messy feelings and how to start building relationships with other people. This kind of growth shows up in these beautiful and, sometimes really challenging ways. You see it in that sweet moment of empathy when they hug a friend who's crying. You see it in those early, kind of clumsy attempts at taking turns during a game. And maybe most importantly, you hear it when they start using their words, not just their bodies to tell you, I'm mad or I'm sad. And of course, there's this one. Oh yeah. If you have a preschooler, you have definitely heard this. But this powerful declaration, it's not just them being defiant. It's the sound of them developing their very own unique sense of self. It's them realizing their own abilities. It is a huge, huge milestone. So what's our role in all this? Well, we get to be their emotions coach. And honestly, the most powerful thing you can do is help them put a name to their feelings. Just saying something like, wow, it looks like you're feeling really frustrated right now, gives them the words they need to start understanding their own inner world. Okay, so our final section covers two domains that are totally connected and are so important for getting ready for school. That's language and something called approaches to learning. Now, the second one isn't about what they know, but how they learn. It's their attitude, their drive to figure things out. So first, language. The growth here is just staggering. By the time a child is 4 years old, their vocabulary can explode to around 1,500 words. You'll see them go from just simple phrases to telling you these long, super detailed, and let's be honest, often hilarious stories about what happened in their day. And now for approaches to learning. Remember, This is all about how they learn, not what they know. It's their learning attitude. And you see it all the time. You see it in their curiosity, that endless stream of but why questions. You see it in their persistence, when they try again and again to rebuild a tower that keeps falling. And you see it in their creativity, when a simple cardboard box suddenly becomes a spaceship. Supporting these two areas is incredibly powerful. Just read with them every day, ask them open-ended questions, the kind that can't just be answered with a yes or no. And here's a really crucial tip. Praise their effort, not just the final result. Saying, wow, you worked so hard on that, builds way more persistence than just saying, you're so smart. Okay, so we've walked through all 5 of these domains. But here's the most important thing to remember, the big takeaway. They don't work alone. They are all beautifully and constantly connected to each other. Here's a perfect example of what I mean. Think about a child who finally masters climbing up the big slide. They aren't just building physical strength. That feeling of success, that physical accomplishment, builds the social, emotional confidence they need to turn to another kid and say, hey, want to play? See? One simple action, and multiple domains are all firing at once. So if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. The single best activity for developing all of these areas at the same time is just simple imaginative play. It truly is the ultimate whole child workout. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Now that you kind of have this map of how it all fits together, what amazing whole child moment are you going to notice in your kids' play today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.